Same question. Your views about what we need to do in terms of our education of our children, both for internal response, like our own schools, and external advocacy, or whatever we need to do as Jay put governance in the school system. What's your view?
Well, I'll just give you some generalized advice. It's about trying to make sure in our educational and institutional frameworks that our youth at all, trying to make sure that our ideas, beliefs, notions, what have you, make sure as much as possible that they correspond correctly to reality. That is what education is about to me. I mean, I learned that growing up. My Aunt Zelma, my mother Thelma, her twin sister, she was a fanatical type Christian. The identical twin, my mother, Thelma, she was a passive Christian. So one day I was in the back room, 11 years old, talking with all the other kids and Aunt Zelma's son too, about the universe and the planets. And in my little kid way, dropping all my T-H-E-R-E-R, rolling on the signs, I said, no it ain't, no it ain't. The earth take a 600 million mile trip around the sun every 365 days. And then the earth spin on its own axis at 1,000 miles an hour. Well, Aunt Zelma come busting in the room, shut up that old science mess. Boy, and got the maul in my head, you know, and twisting my ear. You going straight to hell. You're gonna burn in hell for that mess. Boy, this woman, she just had a problem. It was a couple of months later, we were over at the beach, Playland, San Francisco, you know, where you can look out at the Pacific Ocean. Aunt Zelma came all the way over and got me and drove me back. Bobby, now look out there. I looked out at the ocean. You know, I'm scared Aunt Zelma's gonna hit me, you know. What you see out there, boy? I said, the ocean, Aunt Zelma. She said, don't you see, boy, it's flat, 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 flat. You can't run around here and talk about the earth is round. Can't you see how flat it is out there? I'm just saying, I never gave up my new education. But I had to stay away from myself. And go on to make sure, and I say, this is where I coined my meaning later in life, lecturing at colleges and universities all over the United States of America. One thing I leave is to try to help make sure, educationally, those who are educators, et cetera, and so on, us who are parents and so on. I mean, you know, to make sure their ideas correspond correctly to reality. I mean, I have a daughter. She got her BA over in San Francisco State some years ago. She owns her own home now. I have a son who's a doctor. Even my oldest son, Malik and Nkrumah Staggerly Seale, my oldest son, you guys read about it in my book, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He fought in Iraq and in Afghanistan. He just got back. He came back wounded a year ago. But he hung to the understanding that I'd given him about our history of fighting in all the wars in this country. The history of it, you know what I mean? That was important because to me, 168,000 black men, as documented by W.E.B. Du Bois and others, fought in the Civil War in this country, and as Abraham Lincoln said, if it had not been for the black men, they would not even won the war. And that's the very fact that 38,000 black men died. I mean, the formulation and the foundation of what this country needed to be about in the future. So I taught my son that. He knew that. You know what I mean? And I said, in this case, this Taliban and these Al-Qaeda, you are fighting an enemy at this time. Yes, they attacked the country, and yes, we have a bunch of racism, and yes, but we'll work that out. these other idiots over here, we ain't going for that. You know what I mean? We're going to fight you, so you fight for your country, because it's our country. In other words, I says you are acting in the manner of a first-class citizen of the United States of America to stand up for it and fight for it, particularly when somebody gets wrong and jumps on us. And at the same time, you're acting as a first-class citizen to protest an unnecessary war at the same time.
All right, thank you, brother.